Ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to a Saturday morning stream. Excited to have you here. We've got another fantastic guest today. We're going to be talking about some wellness, specifically some roller wellness. Richie, thank you for being here.
Hey, happy to be here.
Awesome to hear it, man. We've talked about your content a lot before. Meta is the one who turned me on to your program, but lots and lots of really interesting philosophy that you have behind taking care of yourself that I think a lot of people need to hear. So I'm excited to get into that. But welcome, Richie.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. It was really cool for Meta to reach out to me, and it's like you don't really know what you're putting out there until or that it's being received and whatnot. I mean, you get DMs occasionally and whatnot, but it's cool to be able to have a chat with you guys. So super happy to be here.
Sweet, man.
I'm glad that you were down, bro, for sure.
How you doing, Meta?
I'm good, man. Just, life as a dad and running things around. I'm always busy, but very stoked to do this. Like you said, we talked about this before, and it's nice just to have the opportunity, to be honest, to talk with you.
Sweet, man. Well, why don't we just dive right into it? Richie, why don't you tell us your background in skating?
Okay. So I was kind of raised a military brat, so we moved all over the place. And so like say 93, 94, I remember, we did roller skating, right? As a kid, but I just remember seeing a pair of, I believe that they were rollerblade. They were purple, they were black, they had the neon green, like that iconic, at least to me, it's iconic, that original pair, right? And seeing that in the PX. And so that's the store that all the military people go through. And, when I got a pair of those, it was just done. Like I knew, like from roller skating to like rollerblading, for me, it was like the wheels are lined up. I'm going to go so fast, And so it was all about like going fast and like running around and jumping off things and whatnot. So like long before I knew what aggressive blading was, I kind of felt like I was already doing a lot of that, And so just jumping and trying to spin, like I remember like picturing myself like kind of like twirling off a curb and like thinking that the light is going to glisten off my skates, like in figure skating or something.
That's amazing.
It's just I always had that picture in my mind, and it's just kind of always been the way I've kind of viewed it. And then we're back in the States, and I guess it's 95 now. I'm already doing like roller hockey in like 5th grade, and so after roller hockey, we would go skate around town and just jump off things, hand plant over things. Didn't know what a hand plant was. I would go and like do cartwheels and front handsprings, because like I always like run around doing flips and stuff. And so trying to incorporate some of that into my with my rollerblades on, And so, but yeah, so I'd say 95, I saw the X Games, and they had like the blue ramps, like blue and some, some crazy colors. And I think like Matt Salerno won that year. And the moment I saw like, you can grind on rollerblades, like you can grind, I was just blown away. And ever since then, I've been a grinder blader, will always probably be like a grinder blader. Right. Yeah. And even though like, I really love the ramp stuff, but I've never had access to it, growing up from where I'm from. So I have deep respect for like vert and deep respect for, the amazing flips and whatnot. But man, like, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It just, we're always, me and my friends would always after hockey go out and skate. And then we saw this thing and it became the biggest part of our lives. And so from middle school all the way up.
That's
awesome. So how long before that you skated without aggressive, like without knowing anything about aggressive?
I guess like a year and a half, right? Maybe like a year and a half, something like that. So it was like 94, when I was rolling around on these things. And then once I saw the X Games, it was just, I was, so I kept breaking rollerblades over and over again. So my parents would get me the Kmart skates, I'd break those.
You still do, bro. You still do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But even so, like, since I got hockey skates, we just took out one of the wheels, just like so many people have done, and had the gnarliest grooves in that plastic chassis frame, and and then like it's one of those things where like I only had access to street skating. Where I was from, there was a park like maybe an hour and a half away, but you can't drive. And, going to skate parks and ramps, like it took me a long time before I even learned how to drop in on a ramp.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A lot.
So when you were like in this process of like, oh, this is aggressive skating, I can do all this. Like, did you see yourself becoming what you said, like now a grinder?
I immediately wanted to be a pro rollerblader. I was
Wow.
like, there was just this thing where, and rollerblading was so new at that time, you know, so it was everywhere. I'm like watching TV, just waiting for a commercial to come out so I could get a glimpse of it, you know.
Yep.
Wow.
And then, you know, a buddy of mine that was into it, his name is Kenny Spankus. It's a really funny last name, but yeah, so he's an amazing dude. I kind of call him like my sponsor because like he was really well off growing up, and you know, where I came from, I was not, and so like he just always gave me stuff, like always hooked me up with skates. So like he's like they would buy every pair of skates that came out, and so I felt like throughout all the way up until I was, you know, providing for myself, dude was basically hooking me up with stuff, you know.
That's awesome.
And so but yeah, they're like all the old school rollerblades, you know, skated the Dirks, the Daytonas, you know, that was my favorite skate of all time, basically, was the blue Daytonas. They were beautiful. I mean, yeah. So those were
They still
good
are.
ones.
Like some
Yeah.
people, I know some people in Florida that still have them, dude. Like, and pristine
mean,
condition, you know.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty skates, but they're definitely not from this time.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. I mean, I feel like the blanks, are probably using similar molds still. You look down and you have that nostalgic feel, and
Yes.
the top down kind of looks very similar to it. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Was it these?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's those.
Oh,
those
yeah.
were the beauties, man. That was my favorite pair of skates.
Look at that
And then, of
frame,
course-
man. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, like when like 98, 99 came around and like USD came around, being able to like put tumor plates on those boys and like
Oh, yeah.
widen the sole and stuff, man, and like cut them up and just
Wow.
yeah, that was really, really cool things that you could do. I mean, they were also kind of ahead. They had those little square like things you could make your sole bigger,
Yes.
you know, because the sole was
Yes.
tiny, tiny. But you know,
I
we
feel
didn't.
like, you know how back then, like right now, like everybody's coming out with wheels. Like I feel
Uh-huh.
like back then when these skates came out, everybody was coming out with plates, like different kind of plates. You can go to
True.
a different skate
Yeah.
park, and this guy's like making his own plates.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So what do you like to talk to like about when you talk about blading? Honestly, I'm very biased because I follow your content for a specific reason, and that's how I connected with you. But when you get excited talking about blading, what is the thing that comes out the most?
Holy moly, that's a good question. Like, I don't get the opportunity that often to actually talk about blading with bladers. Like, I mean, I get to talk about it with my family and my kids and whatnot, but like, there aren't, you know, people don't really truly understand, you know, when you say I'm a rollerblader, right? But it's just I've never been in a scene for very long where there's been a lot of interaction. So it's just like, I've helped develop my little crew in Richmond, you know, I would say from like 18 to, you know, like when I married my wife at 19 and I moved up this way. And then before that, I would say I was always down in Virginia Beach area, skating with the 757 crew. So that's like Brian Allen and John Dobbins. And so I would say Brian Allen's probably the biggest name to come out of that area. And it's funny because like I was always very much in competition with him. And so like I just, when it comes to talking, like it's been years. I mean, it's been like 20 years because I've just been basically a solo blader. I get to skate with
Wow.
Briggs every now and then, like Ghost Boobs, you know? So like,
Yeah, wow.
so I would say, you know, he's another Richmond guy that's just been doing it forever. And like we, I feel like we do get to connect and we run into each other at the park from time to time. But as the years have kind of gone on, like I never really set up sessions. I just go out and skate. And if someone's there, it's great. And if not, it's all right. But like, you know, there are some guys in Richmond that are still holding it down, you know, but not like it used to be. You know, I used to set up a session all the time, but you know, as you become a dad and whatnot, it's if I want to skate a lot, I gotta do the play rails, you know. There's the man. Yeah.
I didn't realize that he
Insane.
was in Richmond, but he's one of my favorite skaters of all time. He is just always
I mean-
doing something crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I would say from a local level, he's certainly influenced my skating. And there are times I just watch his clips and I'm like, I'm gonna go try that on the same thing, and I'm like, no,
Yeah,
This
right.
it isn't happening. You know, when it comes to rolling or rolling something crazy, you know. But yeah, there's always something fun that he's got out there to give a shot, and it's just nice that I can show up at the same parks and try the same spots and maybe do it. But it's like my skating's a lot different, you know. So it's very traditional. It's a little, you know. I mean, you can get creative, but it can be a little boring, you know.
Let's define this language. When you say traditional, what do you mean? You mean
Yes.
hammer traditional? You mean what do you
mean? I mean, like, remember how like we've always had rules in rollerblading, like your hands don't touch and this don't touch. And I don't dislike the rule. I like lava, you know. There's a buddy of mine, Chris Williams, that would like he'd call out my tricks before I even finished landing, you know, and make fun of it, you know, if you land in lava and whatnot. And so, but by traditional blading, I just mean like the standard street grinder blader, and I love it. I still like. I never get that bored of it. I mean, some of the stuff's kind of creative, I guess. I forget that.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, this is one of my favorites. Yeah. Like, hands down, I watched this clip so many times. I like your box skating in your house a lot, because I was very bored of it at the beginning, and I was like, this guy doesn't really just do anything just to do it. So let me just sit down with it and pay attention to it. And then I realized that you're actually documenting the process of something that I'm gonna ask you later, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I dig it.
I mean. So like these days, I do feel like the most I get to talk about blading is when I open up online, you know. And so that's one of the things. Like that's one of the reasons why I like talking about like the process or how I got there, or and just, you know, I think it's fun to explain really like how difficult some things are. You know, it's like people post a clip and you think, oh, they've got that, and that's just not the way it is. So like one of my favorite things is to realize like, even some of our best pros, like Montre did that hurricane topsoil in his most recent section, and he said that the first day he went there, had a lot of trouble with it, and then went there another day and got it in 2 tries, when you would just expect him to always get it in 2 tries. Right? And so like there's something comforting about knowing that like we all have to work really hard for it.
Yeah.
Dude, this is sick.
I
forget that I do some fun stuff and creative stuff as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love your skating. Yeah, that's
like that was
creative, but fun.
I mean, I think like the last like year or two, I've just been really focused on doing things I've never been able to do.
Cool.
You know, and so it is a lot of grinder trick vocabulary, doing things both ways and whatnot.
That's awesome.
You know.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, Josiah, haven't gone through a lot of your things before.
Yeah, a lot. I scrolled all the way to the bottom this time. Yeah, I haven't seen some of this. No,
yeah,
this is all really impressive, man.
So like that little solo street edit I made, that's where all these clips are from. All the street ones was a project I just put together for myself. I was 38, 39. So that was just like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm 41 now. And it was kind of like I wanted to prove to myself what I could still do out in the streets, because you know, you skate park for so long, but it's also
so they
like
they say you're 41. They say you're 41.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't have many friends that are 41 and skate like this.
Oh man, I seriously would not have guessed 41 in years. I thought you were early 30s, my friend. You do not look 41. You not skate like you're 41. I mean,
there's a subtle genetic component there. You know, my mom was full-blooded Ojibwe Indian, I guess, and my dad was just a white guy, and so, you know, whatever. But yeah, so like I've always got you're a bit younger, so maybe there's helpful there. But I mean, I will say that in my 30s, I felt like I was done for at a certain point, you know, and it's primarily it's kind of the thing that kind of got me on track with the whole holistic mindset and wanting to just try different things, because I've always been very health oriented. Like even when skating in my 20s and filming sections, you know, with my buddy Morgan Ashcombe, he made 2 East Coast videos that are really amazing. I'm very proud of those. Like I was always into like working out, always into bodybuilding, always into other sports. I've always, you know, played soccer, done all these things. But like at a certain point you hit your 30s and people start to talk about how, well, you start to fall apart. Right. And I kind of experienced that where, you know, it got to a point to where like my right knee just wasn't kneeing anymore. You know? And you get to this stage where it's like, yeah, there's no physical, like it didn't physically harm it, but all of a sudden things just aren't functioning the way they used to. And so once it got to a certain point where I noticed, okay, I can only do tricks on my left leg, you know, and so years go on and I'm only doing tricks on my left leg here and there. And like, I would sometimes do things on my right, but I just don't know if my knee's going to support me or not. And then once you get to a far breaking point beyond that, which happened to me was I noticed when I started using handrails to go up and down the stairs, that's a problem. Right. And so it's like, holy crap. And so you don't know if they're, you know, you take a step, if your knee's going to buckle or not. And it's like, yeah, I know I injured it when I was like 17, but I'm 30 now. I know I healed from that. So like, what in the world's going on here? And so at least for me, it was just like, I got to try to find something. And that's kind of what got me started on the whole holistic path. And that's a part of it. The other part of it was just certain health issues like skin, dealing with like chronic eczema my entire life. Right. So wanting to, you know, going to doctors for decades, right. And getting different creams and ointments to try to get better. And that's a mess for anyone that's ever dealt with it. You know, it sucks. You know, it's a funny story that because this has been with me my whole life, but like in high school, my friends would call me crusty butthole lips because of the chappedness. Yeah, it's a crusty butthole lips. It was very accurate because there was this chappedness that would happen. And, you know, at the time you would just use different chapsticks. And I found that like after time, like nothing would work except for like this ghetto chapstick that was at this gas station. And I would just go there and I'd buy like 5 of them at a time. And for some reason, whatever was in there gave me relief, but like the more you use it, the worse it gets. And that's the way it goes with all eczema creams and whatnot. And so it reaches a point to where the medication it suppresses and suppresses and suppresses and suppresses the body's natural ability. And then all of a sudden one day it can implode on itself. So basically these factors, you know, and it's my interest in the human body in general. Like I always wanted to be maybe a fitness person, or a PE teacher is what I remember when I was a kid. I always wanted to do that. And so, but after all this time of just issues after issues, I mean, I came across ideas that sounded really crazy and just started to try to follow some things, you know. So, I mean, we can get into that or we can keep on the story however you guys want to go, if we want to save a little bit of that for later.
I mean,
man.
It feels good right now. This is a good natural conversation, my man. I've been loving it. You got a lot of good things to say, cool. But nah, man, this has been fantastic so far. That and I will admit, like I said, I scrolled a good bit through your Instagram, but you've got some crazy clips in there, man. You really got some great style and some form about you. It's really cool to see. Holy cow!
Thank you. Yeah, I've never viewed myself as like a style blader. Like I've always just wanted to land things clean and solid, you know. And so like there are guys that have like the natural bend, and like I've always been a little jealous of that. You know, these guys that just they can get so low. Yeah. Brett Device, like his alley topsoils are just perfection, you know. And it's just like, but just landing clean, landing kind of fast, has always been like what I feel like I could go for. So.
It shows,
I like that last part of that. I like that last part of landing clean, but like landing fast.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Because there's like a confidence, you know, that when you approach things with speed and really some like as you're learning, going a little slower can help you, but with speed and finesse, you know, you want to kind of blast out of it. And so like you can really see the difference between natural and switch tricks. You know, the struggle to learn the switch trick versus the natural trick is just flown through. You know, it's like one beautiful movement.
Yeah. It's also a reflection of your level of commitment. Like you cannot go fast and not commit, my friend.
That's true. Yeah. You know,
you know, that's like a bad recipe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is crazy. Like when you think about some of the older stuff you did when you're younger, and how fast you would go at like a handicap rail and do like 5 or 6 switch ups. I mean, you're flying, you know. So, but yeah, it's still like I guess one of the main goals of my page for me was to. It's a constant like journey for myself to not necessarily do everything that I've been able to do back in the day, like stunt wise, but I did want to see, could I be as good as I was when I was 25? Could I be as good as I was when I was 20? And when I look back, if I look at it from a technical perspective, like the 20-year-old Richie, like that was filming for Broke, couldn't even touch some of the tricks I can do now. And so that's like more than just, I mean, it's work, right? There's the work ethic part of it, and just saying, I'm going to learn this thing, and you keep working at it until you get it. And it might take you a year, it might take you 2 years.
Commitment.
But then, but then the other half of this was me discovering and falling into this whole like holistic approach, learning a lot about naturopathy, homeopathy, understanding the benefits of chiropractic care. And then all of that just, it helps out with the idea that I've always been into fitness and wellness and bodybuilding in these things. Right. So, it's really neat to see yourself at a place where you're like, I could never do that again because my body won't let me, to being like, you know what, I think I can outdo what I've done in the past, you know? And so from a technical perspective, yeah, for sure. That's where I feel like I'm at now. You know, when it comes to like skating a nice small ledge or a rail, I can definitely like blow my mind compared to my 20-year-old self. And that's the best goal, you know? It's like, you know, you get to a certain point. And so, yeah.
That's why royal wellness, that's what it comes from.
Pretty much. Yeah. And so like, and it's also like, I do have a tendency to hyper focus. And so like on tricks, I'll hyper focus. And that's kind of why I don't mind skating solo. Like I've got I was playing a game with my buddy, Tom Schneider, where we like, it's a game of like a pen pal game of Blade. We set up a few tricks. He sets up a few tricks, and he told me to go all out on the name of the tricks. And so the trick I was trying on my box was true fish, backslide to Macchio. And I wanted to do it both ways, switch and natural. And so when I went to do it natural, and the caveat of this is that for us to play the game of Blade, what we're actually doing is kind of like golf. You're keeping tabs of how many attempts it takes you. How many tries will it take me to land this trick? And so it's not necessarily about just landing the trick. It's about who can land the trick in the least amount of attempts to keep your scorecard the lowest.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about the autism hyper focus there. I did 141 tries, right, to land this trick, and it took me like maybe 2.5 hours, something like that. And I got it, but it's like, oh, okay, I might, the whole ADHD situation and stuff that my wife tells me, like, yeah, you got that. So it's a power. It's gonna be a superpower, and it can, help you get to where you want to be. But it's also, it's like, it would have been fun to go try something else.
I mean, I'm glad that you're using the power, right?
The dedication.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's actually an interesting point too. It's like, there are things that can be a negative and a positive, right? And like, I'll just jump into one, right? So like, just the story of falling into the holistic approach was that, so the skin issue was a big one, and then my knees were a big one. And so when I come across the work of a naturopathic doctor named Joel Wallach and Peter Glidden, that's kind of his protege was him. I actually found Peter Glidden first on like some conspiracy page, and he's spouting off about whether or not chemo is effective, right? Like, what's the 5-year line? But regardless of how you feel about any of that, as I looked into their work and realized that these guys are literally talking about regrowing cartilage, which just sounds insane to me, right? It's like, that sounds like that's not even a possible thing. And so listening to different athletes that Dr. Joel Wallach worked with, and these guys that have had incredible health turnarounds, and it all comes down to them, and it's really, if we were to put it in just one word, fixing nutrient deficiencies. And so as I listened to them, and I realized, like, I've been wanting to be this athlete my whole life. I've lived my life like an athlete. Even when I was bodybuilding, I wasn't doing any form of supplementation. I was just eating real, like it's what I would consider to be real food, the best that I could. At a certain point, like, why is it that the best athletes in the world start to just get these aches and pains, and just like I did in my 30s? I'm not saying I'm like the best athlete in the world, but I noticed a correlation with what these guys are explaining and what I've been going through. And it's like, not being able to pinpoint an actual injury, but being able to realize, like, I'm worn out. I'm chronically tired. I'm chronically fatigued, and I'm a mess. And so basically with them, it's very simple. Their whole process is get off certain foods that cause your body inflammation, and then supplement a whole bunch with products that are actually nutraceutical grade. So it's products or supplementations that like doctors would recommend. And so like any doctor can use this kind of product, but that's not necessarily what they're trained in. They're trained in allopathic medicine, right? So they're trained to go this direction, where the naturopathic doctors are trained. There we go. What do we got there? I can't see it, but yeah. There we go. Yes. And that's the interesting thing. So for me to fix my skin condition, right? It was really this simple. It was getting off of gluten, wheat, barley, rye, and even oats, which oats don't necessarily contain the gluten protein, but they do have a whole lot of things in there that act very similar. And so what's happening, or at least the belief of what's happening. And so I don't like to say this is exactly what it is. I like to say this is how the naturopathic doctors view this idea. And so what they're saying is that when I eat this gluten molecule, my stomach acid is not able to break down that molecule to a single amino acid, which is what's necessary. So all food needs to be broken down to a single amino. And then once it passes through your digestive tract, you then will be able to absorb the amino acid through what's called the villi. So along the entire small intestines are these villi, and they basically they take down microscopically every single nutrient. So they always say like you are what you eat, and that's partially true. It's kind of incorrect. You are what you absorb. And so if there's an absorption issue going on in the villi, guess what? Anything you eat, it's the nutrients are just going to go right through you. And on top of that, the way this gluten intolerance, at least for me, worked was that I would eat the breads, eat the pastas, and I could feel, and so this is where I'm going to call it a superpower. I could feel a gut, like sometimes I'd eat certain kinds of breads. Like if I had pizza from Pizza Hut, I would like shake and tremble, and I could feel like a stabbing, happening. And so for me, it's like, oh, well, that sucks for you that you can't do that. But at the end of the day, I would call it a sensitivity superpower in the sense that I was able to pinpoint a problem. I was able to pinpoint a signal, and then you change this thing. And so what's happening, like as the villi are destroyed by eating all the wrong stuff all the time, the ability for me to absorb the essential fats, the omega-3s, the omega-6s, the omega-9s, even though the body kind of makes a little bit of those, it's the skin being an organ, just like any other skin. So any other organ that's made up of the same stuff the skin is, the connective tissues, right? It's going to start to fail. And that's seriously what happened. And so the recommendation was get off this, supplement with this, even if it's with food alone, because a lot of naturopathic doctors they're not big into supplementation like I am, or like, Dr. Joel Wallach is, right? And so they'll just recommend certain foods and so they can get results. But I really like to go towards the idea of using science-based medical nutrition. And the reason for that is because then I know what's in there, and I can test it out. And if I don't like it, it doesn't work well for me, I can move on to something else, So,
right. Two questions.
Yep.
First, what do you do besides blading?
I work out a lot, play Rocket League a lot, Smash Brothers with the kids. I do every Sundays, soccer Sundays. So like with my congregations and the congregations in the area, I usually host a soccer game. As long as it's like, if it's spring and fall, we're usually doing that. I love soccer as much as I love blading. Surfing, I love that as much as I love blading. Blading is what I have the most access to. But I would say the major difference is like I consider myself a blader. I don't consider myself a soccer player or a surfer. Rollerblading is a fundamental part of who and what I am. So even if it went like I go a month and I just can't make it, I'm still a blader. I'm still looking at every rail and ledge and anything you drive by. You can't get it out of your head, and it's still the social media I'm consuming.
All right. And for job, you do what?
So I own a resurfacing company. So we work with epoxies and basically resurface tubs and tiles, various urethane systems, do epoxies, like kind of make the floors look like big marble, like a big bowling ball, if you want, and make it look like specific stones, making it look like granite. Resurface countertops, make that look like granite. And so, I mean, even that's even a clue into health degeneration. And so if you think about this, like I'm literally working with some of the most dangerous and toxic chemicals that exist, right? Heavy metals within all these things, almost everything on it says cancer causing. And so I can, I used to think in the back of my mind, like, yeah, I've gotten into this business and it's providing decently for us and we're able to live off of this. But at the same time, I also feel like I'm killing myself because I'm going to work and you can wear all the, PPE that you like, but you're still exposed day in and day out. And so when you're exposed to something day in and day out, it's like, well, what else can I do? Well, the answer to that, at least for me, there's this thing called an ORAC score. It's like oxygen. It's something about free radicals and the amount of like oxygen and the amount of inflammation that's causing. So like, I can't remember what it is, but like the ORAC score is that you can eat foods, you can take in nutrients, you can take supplements that have a very high ORAC score. And so the higher the ORAC score is basically what you want. So like, blueberries and the smaller like raspberry type fruits are very high in antioxidants. You can get supplements that are high in antioxidants. And so what I'm literally trying to do via food and supplementation is that for every toxin that enters my body via my work, which happens every single day, I want to then create a molecule that's going to then grab that and take it out. And so like the body even like creates what's called glutathione. And so glutathione is one of these molecules that antioxidants need. And so glutathione is, known for grabbing hold of gross things and excreting it from the body. Okay. And then if you take certain minerals, for example, like selenium, like who knows about selenium, right? But it's one of the most important minerals we can think of. Selenium will then recycle the glutathione. So it's like you could supplement with glutathione if you want forever, or you could continue to find a much cheaper supplement like selenium, which is like cents on the dollar every day, and then take in the selenium because like it's going to continue to recycle your glutathione. And so like I've always been so fascinated and interested in how cells and how the body works, and it's just like if I were to compare the whole holistic approach and compare that to like Western mainstream medical stuff, and like this is where like people might hate me, might love me, might whatever, might not resonate, but it's not that I hate Western medicine, because like if you've got a bullet in your arm and you need a reductionistic methodology to remove that, that's the way to go. We got a big break. We need emergency surgery. There's no one better than, the United States and the world, probably. I mean, other countries have certainly caught up and gone a long ways, but when it comes to being able to diagnose and fix something that's very reductionistic, then yeah, it's absolutely the best thing in the world. And like, I'm not completely anti-medication either. It's not the medication, it's how it's used. And so my page may come off sometimes like I'm a little preachy and hate all Western medicine. That's really not it. It's about how it's used. It's like, not all.
Well, what if we take that out of the argument of the industry and we take it to the relationship that we have? Like, let's talk about mobility, because it's the same thing,
Right.
I honestly hold myself back sometimes to talk about mobility because like I sound very preachy, but
right.
But dude, I can't move.
Absolutely. So like that's an area. So when it comes to like a lot of the mechanical movements, I love learning about it. It's definitely not my area of like of major autism, special focus. But I do know that like if I spend 5 minutes warming up before I skate my play rail and just do joint, try to open up the hips, try to open up the shoulders, do a few push-ups. I've got a pull-up bar. I'm always do a couple pull-ups. Do anything to get you warmed up and ready to rock and roll. And then like I love being able to do like pistol squats. When I haven't either hurt my ankle or my knee, doing something right. So like it's a really really cool and fun movement. So mobility stuff is certainly, to me, it's a part of something that you do naturally. You're like at a gas station pumping gas and you start to just move. You might look like a weirdo, but like if you're doing it all the time, it's here and there, it's really 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 beneficial because it's going to help you all the time.
I mean, if you filter it down to like, so when you were talking about like supplementing, right? Like
right.
And approaching it not from the regular standpoint of medicine. Like if we approach our care of our body only for the standpoint of medicine, we will never really consider mobility. When in reality, you cannot move without that relationship with your body, right? And it goes, and that's undeniable, right? So
right.
So if you apply that and you consider blading, how you apply that to blading, I wanna learn how to do hurricanes. Okay, all right. So you need to learn what scissor you're gonna enter with, what angle you're gonna enter with, what the position of your body as you enter in the rotation is gonna be, so you can. And all of that is movement, is mobility. You know, like you're not gonna just
Yeah.
like download it and do it. You know,
For
like
sure. And so like when you do those exercises, what are we really doing? We're causing flow, right? We're causing energy flow, we're causing blood flow. And so and what's all in our blood? It's all little cells. And so like one of the things I try to always think about is like what, because we all think about, oh, I feel good or I feel bad, but like how is our cell health? Right, like how are the actual cells? And so like here's an interesting one. So there are we'll get into like a little bit about bone health for just a minute, and so you can correlate this to joint health. But like every day, if you go outside and you see a road being repaved, so what do? They strip out the old road, and then you see like this little underlining layer, and then they lay down new road. Right. So every day in our bodies, every second of the day, there's this process. So there's these cells, the osteoclasps and osteoblasts. And so the osteoclasps are, and it should be reversed. I feel like the name should be reversed, but osteoclasps are tearing out new bone or old bone. They're finding the bone that's degenerative and they're getting rid of it. Meanwhile, the osteoblasts are then layering down new bone. Right. And so from age 1 to 30, this is always happening. Right. And so we have plenty of calcium stores in our body. But once we reach to a certain point, what happens when our calcium, like mineral, the actual physical mineral starts to run low? Well, the body's smart. So if your blood needs more calcium in it, your heart needs more calcium, your vital organs need more calcium, guess where it's going to pull it from? It's going to leach it from your bones. Right. And so it's like, oh, well, maybe my joints, could hurt because, I've got arthritis, which is a disease you can't physically define. Right. Like no one can hold a bottle of arthritis. Right. Like it doesn't exist in that way. But what we feel is pain. Right. We feel this sense of is something happening or something's not working as well as it is. And so from my perspective, it's basically the microscopic building blocks of life, which minerals are, which vitamins are, which the amino acids are. We need all of these things taken in daily. Right. And so like there's this whole thing where, there are 90 essential nutrients, right? And so by essential, like to define what that even means, that means that it's a nutrient that the body needs in order to survive, but does not make, right? So it's like, so I've been studying this for a while, and that's really fun and interesting to know. But if we correlate that back with mobility, so if you're now working, you're supplementing or you're eating foods and that are not hurting your knees. There's no low grade inflammation because you've cut out certain foods that aren't causing pain to your knee. You're now working it out in a way where blood flow is continuing to get there. Maybe you're seeing a chiropractor or you're doing something with Ayurvedic or whatever, and it's helping more with energy flow in the body. You are then using mobility work and then taking in the right foods. The body is so intelligent and so smart that every second of the day it is looking to find its equilibrium, and it's looking to encounter a measure of stress. But right, so stress happens all the time, but it wants you to be well. It's like we know this as rollerbladers. Every time we get a scab, what happens? The cells, they go out there and they start doing their thing. It's incredible to think about it. And to me, like this is the major difference between like allopathic, the ideology of allopathic medicine versus the entire holistic approach. So, and by holistic, I can mean chiropractic, I can mean Ayurvedic, I can mean herbalists, I can mean naturopathy, homeopathy, all these things that I really, really am interested in, is that there is the belief that in one system that you're basically a biological bag of parts waiting to break, right? You've come about from nothing over thousands of years, and you are essentially just you are the epitome of what's best for now, right? You've evolved to what's best for right now. But from the holistic approach, the difference is that the ideology is that your body is smart, that your body is divine, that your body is inspired, right, of a creator, and therefore has a divine intelligence that's basically always been running the show, because it's like you've grown yourself from like one cell to the beautiful human beings that you guys are now with all your different genetics and whatnot. And it's absolutely incredible. And so And this is what I mean, where like some people are going to say, oh, they hate on this or hate on that, but it's just like, and this isn't necessarily a religious discussion, but there is an ideology there. And so the major difference, I would say, at the end of the day, if I could define it in what like one word, I would say strength. And well, why strength? And it's because one type of medicine is consistently basically reducing or inhibiting the body's ability to do a certain thing, right? So like you've got like in standard care, if you've got heartburn, what are they going to do? They're going to give you an antacid. Everything is like basically a hostile control of the body, where from the holistic perspective, everything is to support. It's to help the body do a process better than what it's doing. And it essentially, strength is the word, because it's about getting stronger, right?
So it's about how you want to have your relationship with your body, like how you want to have a relationship with anything else. Do you want
Yeah, dude.
And so what I like about it is that it's straight pure accountability. And like, it also means that you can do
self-accountability.
Wow.
Yeah.
And self-empowering too. Yeah, because you can do something.
That's completely it. And so it's not like, all holistic approaches are created equal, or that they all have all the answers. They've got some answers, they've got some fixes. And it's also the same way with Western medicine. There are things that we definitely need Western medicine for. Now, for chronic illnesses, for things like eczema, for autoimmune issues, for Alzheimer's, for maybe even cancer, right? Is it the best way? And then that's just where it takes time for people to realize that there are people seeing benefits from different directions, doing different things. And, so that's a whole different, like, it's a whole major, thing here. But the point of my page is just to point out there are different things that you personally can do,
Yeah, I always say, like, it's just important to have the conversations, and these are conversations that I hope that people have with themselves. Like, how am I thinking about continuing to do this? How am I seeing myself where I'm at and where I want to be? How am I going to explore that? Let me ask you this: like, what is like your skating wellness routine, and how will you recommend that bladers approach theirs?
So, there's a million little things that you could all consider being a holistic approach, right? The one that I'm the worst at is just trying to sleep well. I like to stay up too late, and that's a bad thing. But like, I do feel like sleep is the most important of everything. So like, you can't supplement your way out of not sleeping well enough. But I'll get into that one later. So sleep,
we have very opposite views on that. Like, 4 hour. Yeah, I sleep 4 to 5 hours most nights, and then one day I sleep 12. Okay,
you can find where things work for you, right? But there is like this natural circadian rhythm where, so this is going to be my next one, which is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but like sunlight. So seeing the sun in the morning, letting sun enter your eyes, right? Not necessarily bright sun, but like rising sun, setting sun. It's so important, because at the moment that you start to take sunlight into your eyes, your body starts to create natural melatonin. And then on top of that, with the vitamin D's coming in, right, you start to get like, so vitamin D is not really truly vitamin, it's really a hormone. And so you begin this process of all of these things that the body needs. And it's just like, it's so funny, because everything on this earth needs either the earth or the sun. Actually, no, they need the earth and the sun. So, that'll take me to like my next point was just like, I'm a really big fan of grounding. That means just basically being barefoot on the earth as much as humanly possible. I even use, like, for sleep, I even use grounding sheets, which sounds insane, but these are sheets that are lined with silver. And so the silver then plugs into a grounding unit. You can plug it in outside, but essentially what you're doing is you're able to, all the charge that your body holds, and people are going to spiral over this kind of stuff because it sounds so silly and it sounds so gimmicky, but it's like, okay, I want people to
just dig into it, people. Just dig into it, people.
Right. Well, beyond that, it's like, this isn't something that is taking away from you at any function. At any point, you find what works for you. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I challenge anyone that is just like, they're just like, I'm tired, I've got a headache, I do anything. And before you reach for the Tylenol or Advil, like, go outside and just put your feet on the ground for like 5 minutes. Try to relax, try to breathe, try to pay attention to the leaves, listen to the wind blow, and see how this goes, right? And so see if there's there's something that's happening, right? And so, like, even with that, you know, what I believe is truly happening is that we're discharging all this energy. You know, there's books from the 70s that talk about ions and how this all works, right? So like, this isn't new stuff. Almost everything on my page is actually ancient information that I'm just basically re-showing. And so those are 3 little things right there. As far as when it gets into like my supplementation routine, I do believe that there are 90 essential minerals. So there's 60 minerals. That's the lion's share of our health. There are 16 vitamins and minerals, 12 amino acids, and then 2 to 3 of the essential fats, the omegas, the 3s, and the 6s. Wow. And so I do have a supplementation program that I love to get people started on. And this is what I do. This is like, I would say for my personal stuff, it's like if I do it every day because of the results that I've encountered in my life, right? And so like that's probably the last thing, other than basically just trying to exercise daily to some degree, getting outside, walking with the family. I love lifting heavy, right? But that's actually a stress on the body, right? Yeah. So I love lifting heavy, and I like the idea of getting big, and I like going through bulking seasons and whatnot. But with that being said, like, I also think that put me in the position I'm in. And so when I say the position I'm in, I mean like in my early 30s, when my joints were not functioning as well. So from my perspective, what's truly happening there is that my bones and body is just simply running out of the stuff that I have been needing. And so how does that work? Well, this is the next one of the big things that drive people crazy on my page. And I get the most DMs is when I say sweat is death, right? So there's this saying that Dr. Joel Wallach would say, and it's changed a little bit now, but in the 90s and 80s, this was very true, that the couch potato lives longer than the athlete. And the only reason that has changed now is because athletes now understand the difference of nutrition and health. Whereas when you are someone that's working all of the time, like someone works their whole life, you can see it on their face. They're tired, man. And why are they tired? Because they've sweated out literally their life fluid. And so sweat is more than just salt, guys. And salt is so important. We can go out, we can do a whole stream on salt, right? But you're sweating out all of the minerals, all the trace minerals. And as you continue to sweat, eventually something is going to break. And so what was breaking on me, in my opinion, at that time, the lack of essential fatty acids due to omega-3 and 6 deficiencies, majorly huge, right? So no essential fatty acids were getting into my system. And then on top of that, I feel like my bones and joints just started to ache more and more, lower back pain, all these things happen. And so I finally trust the work of Dr. Joel Wallach. And, you know, after doing like literally a year of research, I wish I would have started earlier. I finally decided to just let me give their system a shot. Let me try eating differently and see what happens. And I kid you not that within 3 months of this, I could see, even that first clip that you guys posted of that hurricane topsail. So that was the first time I had done that in like 5 or 6 years. Right. And it's not that like I ever stopped skating, because I was still skating a little bit here and there, but it's the quality and the ability, the enjoyment that you get out of versus like having a session where you're pumped afterwards and you feel good versus having a session where you're just so drained that you can't even work the next day. Right. And so there's this whole chronic fatigue thing that can set in, but that's just a sign. Right. That's just
so how do you compensate from the sweating, from the losing of the micro minerals and all that? How do you compensate during a session? Because like we do this in Get Rolling, where we go to events and we do have like the ginger shots with the things that we believe are important for you to sustain yourself within the session, but the after and before the session too.
Let me ask you though, do you feel that the ginger shot makes a difference? I bet it does, right? Like I bet you feel something.
Yeah. For sure. Like for me, I obviously promote it because I believe in it, because I see the benefit of it, right? And what the cayenne pepper does and the lemon, and like the brightness and the way it just goes immediately into your system.
Like cayenne pepper alone will help open like the basic, like if someone's having a heart attack of all things, a little cayenne pepper could possibly save their life. The work of Dr. Barbara O'Neill shows this, where basically she saved the life of someone having a heart attack just by giving a little cayenne pepper, because it helps the facilitation of the arteries, right? So you got a blocked artery, cayenne pepper, if it can loosen the artery so that way things can then pass through and it can relax it, boom. And so like there are herbs, and so herbs aren't my specialty at all. I want to get more into that, and there's a few things I really do like, but it's super helpful. And so to answer your question, like the most simple way to show that supplementation can be beneficial, would be just simply a really, really good salt. So, and this, it sounds crazy, but like, so as we sweat, we obviously, everyone knows you get rid of salt, but you also get rid of different trace minerals, you know? And so if you were to just take a little bit of salt, you're starting to feel fatigued, put it on your tongue, drink a little bit of water, you're going to feel a difference. Right. And so, or you can add salt to the water. And so, and when I say like a salt, I don't want salt that's bleached white and then has the iodine added, which that's very important. There's a whole story behind that too. But what you want is like I recommend Redmond's real salt. It comes from Utah. It goes through no bleaching process. It's the natural salt and it has all the trace minerals in there. And so that's one just insanely cheap way. And so like one of the challenges I tell folks to
when
try.
When we're climbing, we do that. When we're climbing and you do 1 or 2 burns, and you just feel your body is drained, because you know sometimes we boulder, so bouldering is very extraneous.
I mean, the number one ingredient in Gatorade is salt and potassium, right? So salt and potassium, and so that's where people need, and that's going to keep people from getting heat strokes. But the truth of the truth of the matter is, the body needs 58 other essential minerals. And so one of the beverages that I have is a product called Rebound, and so basically that is a sports drink, and that pretty much came about by a professional athlete called Theo Ratliff. He's a NBA basketball player. I mean, his career was done. He went under Dr. Bill Wallach's stuff. His career, he ended up being one of the longest, basketball players ever. And so the whole thing about all of that is it's in the moment, there are things that you can do. And so there are so the salt thing is just the simplest one. But like if I'm playing soccer and get me wrong, I'm like running around with these 20-year-olds all the time. And my goal, and I accomplish this, like I outrun them all. I'm not necessarily faster. A lot of them I am, but like I want to outrun them all and outlast, and I want to play the entirety of the game as hard as I can, And so I will have with me a bottle of salt water. I'll have with me the mineral energy drink, right? That's got a tiny bit of like natural sugars in it. I will also do like just some fruit, right? Have that there available. I will have a calcium, because that's even a whole different form. And so like in the moment, right, if if I ever got to the point where I could compete in contests and I could like do this, I would have every single different like little beverage, little power up that I need, because at certain points throughout the activity you need certain things. And it's like, are your muscles locking up? Well, the calcium magnesium supplement that's got, just mix it with water, you're going to feel an immediate difference and your muscles' ability to relax, because magnesium relaxes your muscles. Right. It's more than that. It relaxes even the blood vessels. Right.
Is that what you drink when you're trying to do a hurricane both ways?
So, I mean, usually I just bring for a skate session, I just bring one mineral beverage with me, maybe the Rebound stuff. I have the packets with me. But I always, even before that, I always do the salt, because there are times where I can have these expensive, mineral complexes, but what I really need is a few milligrams of salt. And if you look at, these marathon runners, if they didn't take those salt gels, they would all just die. They would be so dead so fast, so soon. And it's and so that's where it's the whole, the thing with salt is the whole medical, industry is demonized salt for 50 years. But at the same time, so here's the spell breaker on this.
So you can sell medicine to compensate for that.
So it's more so than that.
So a business plan, my friend.
If you go to the hospital for dehydration, if you go to the hospital, even if you're suffering from the high blood pressure, right? What's the very first thing they're going to give you? They're going to give you a bag of saline solution directly into your veins. What is that? That's sodium chloride. Right? It's pure, and it's an insane amount of salt. And so it's funny, so what we physically do and partake of, right? And when we go to the hospitals versus what we're told is safe and whatnot. And so the only caveat I'll just leave you with when it comes to the salt intake, if you are someone that doesn't exercise, you eat, just McDonald's, right? Your salt sodium can be high. And that can be problematic, right? But if you're someone that eats whole foods, the chances of you being salt deficient are scary high, right? Because if you're making your own food and you're not salting it to taste, and this is even the most interesting thing that I find with salt, what I think it's why I would consider it even divine, right? Is that salt is the only mineral of all the minerals that we need to eat, that we need in our bodies, that we're made up of, that we have a taste receptor for, right? So we can taste how much salt we need. And so people are like, well, how do you know how much or how little? Well, it's really simple. If the salt tastes really good to you, you probably need more. If it tastes repulsive, you can't even eat it if you wanted to. And then the body gets rid of salt. And so the problem with the processed foods is that they then hijack this system by adding incredible amounts of sugar to the incredible amounts of salt, right? And so then the salt gets demonized because we've now made it in this palatable form where we can take it in.
Yeah.
Right. So but even with all of that, like even that leads to like the talk on like why are people obese? Like why is that happening? You know, from the naturopathic perspective, that's a very interesting like perspective on this. And so people aren't obese because they're lazy, you know, and they're not obese because they're just like, you know, because there are people that are working really hard, they're working out all the time and they're gaining weight or they're having trouble with losing weight. And so what they found out in animals, like, you know, in I don't know, the 20s 30s, is that so what would happen is a horse, like either a horse or a cow, right? The farmer goes out, he sees his horse, he sees his cow, and all of a sudden the horse, you know, he sees marks all over the barn where the horse has been nibbling and eating basically the wood, right? Eating the wood of the fences, whatever. And so that phenomenon is called pica or cribbing, but in people it would be called snacking. And so essentially what's happening is that people are eating this food that's sure it's calorie dense, but it's not nutrient dense. They are literally fighting off the essential, like their entire body's like system saying like, you need specific nutrition. And that can be salts and that can be minerals, that can be, you know, chromium, vanadium. It could be like any specific type of mineral that the body needs, it's going to want, right? And so snacking comes about due to a mineral deficiency. And like, I can tell you just from my own personal experience trying to put this to the test, like I can do like a 5 or 6 day fast without I don't even have to prepare. I could just start it, you know? Wow. And so like the only times I really do that is when like if I need a digestive reset because I'm just like killing myself because I fell off the wagon, I'm eating like stuff that my body can't take, all the glutens, right? You know, I fell off the wagon for a month and I'm just, you know, so I'll do a fast in that sense. But, or if I'm like, I want to shred up, right? So I can do a fast and that's one of the fastest ways to do that. But, you know, and of course people talk all about like certain things you can do. But anyway, yeah. So like you guys got to run me in a little bit because I can just go on forever. And it's crazy.
I love how let's do the I love how passionate you are, man. And you,
Same.
you're very well read. And it's very easy to tell that you care very much for people advocating and taking care of themselves. So I really do appreciate that. But yeah, Meta, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Let's do the Fast 5.
Let's do it.
Best 5.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So 5 questions. Try to do your best to not spend a lot of time with them, meaning like it's just trying to not think about it, but just comment whatever comes out of your mouth, you know what I mean?
Thank you. All right.
Ready?
Yep.
First one, meat, veggies, or fruits? 1.
Oh, oh man!
You can't do
I need to
that.
answer all above. You can't do one.
I thought I was gonna trick you with that one.
That's one of the funniest things about what people like. So my idea of what a holistic approach before was a vegan diet, and I did that for a whole year, right? Because I like to experiment. So I've also done the carnivore diet, and so I've had people reach out to me that have like healed chronic conditions with either a vegan diet, and I've had people reach out to me with that went fully carnivore, and they healed from things. And so, from my perspective of trying to take it all in, what I've come to realize is that what I think is happening is that the person that went to the vegan diet, they are now taking in certain vitamins and minerals on an excessive amounts every single day that their body didn't have, for years. And then the person that switches to the carnivore diet, the same thing's happening with them. They are now taking in a whole lot more B vitamins. Maybe they were iron deficient, and all of a sudden the red meat's got so much iron in it, right? And in a bioavailable form in which the body can digest. So I think it's like both things can happen, but over a period of time, right? I think what's going to happen is what happened to me with the vegan diet. Like my first 6 months were amazing. By month 9, I think I began to lie to myself, and then by the end of the year, it was not a no-go for me. And so it was shortly after that I kind of found, you know, the holistic approaches, which is interesting because they'll tell you some things that sound like taking in salt or eating tons of cholesterol does not sound good right? But that's what a lot of these naturopathic doctors are going to tell you to do, and there's a lot of reasons for that, right? So, yeah. So I mean, that's a whole other one. Yeah, but next in the Fast Five.
Park, street, or urban?
Play rail. So park in boxes and play rails these days, right?
Okay.
I mean, I guess that hard streets there, but man, I really just love a good play rail session. I like to do hard tricks that I can't do on anything else.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm very scared of them, by the way. Yeah. If I don't jump, I feel very scared. I have to be able to jump high.
I'm starting to understand that more and more.
Yeah.
No, like I've been hitting bigger rails now, and I totally get what you mean. I never understood what you meant when we started talking. I was like, that's so weird to me. The small stuff is so easy, but now I've been throwing myself over them too hard, so I totally get that.
Yeah. You get hurt faster and easier too. Like if you're not like super aware.
Right.
Favorite pair of skates of all time?
Oh man. As far as the aesthetics go, the TRSs, the white ones, the Tresidors, were probably my favorite looking one. Yeah, I love the look of those.
Oh wow.
The Tresitor? I don't know what his first name was. I can't remember. But they were white and black. So yeah, and then I mean now I really like the blank boot. I've kind of fallen back in love with that. So yeah.
Which one do you have?
The Alphas were actually. Oh man, maybe I'm thinking of the Alphas, and I like the Tresidors too. But those are the white Alphas.
Okay.
Those were just, oh man, those are gorgeous looking. Look at them.
Yeah. Beautiful skates.
But from a functionality perspective, right now, like I couldn't even skate those any. But you gave me a pair. The blanks are so far ahead in my opinion.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Which blanks do you have right now, the gray or the black?
The gray. I'm like really wishing for a Cameron Tabble Pro boot. Like I wish they come out with one in white. Like I'm a strong advocate. Everyone needs to advocate for that guy.
Yes.
It needs to happen.
Way overdone. Way overdone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way overdone.
Cameron Talbot boot win, please. Absolutely.
I mean,
in white.
Yes, a white blank. Absolutely.
Rollerblades is so far ahead of the game that like people weren't ready for when it was cool. Like it's cool when them does it, but Rollerblade did it 5 years beforehand with their clear boot. So anyway, I've always enjoyed rollerblade skates.
Clear boot. We need another clear boot. A smoke gray clear rollerblade blank would be so cool.
Whatever Cameron Talbot wants.
Whatever he wants. Whatever he wants, of course.
I mean, he's very earthy, so what if it's a little brownish? Whatever.
Cool
as long as it's his.
I'm copying immediately. So when it happened.
Favorite trick of all time?
I'm so sorry I cracked out right then.
Favorite trick of all time?
Mine or like, well, if I'm like thinking
however
of a video,
you want to take it.
Aaron Feinberg's, there's actually 2 in his section, but the gap over the rail, of course, is the most gnarly one. But like the editing of when he did that, like I think it was 450 Royale into the bank and then 3 Royale into the like cess slide, like that. That thing was just beautiful. Everything about it was beautiful. My own would be like this topsoul on this rail in my section from Broke. The scariest thing I've ever done. I look at it and I'm like, I can't believe I wear a helmet. But it's basically like this steep, dirty stair that like you have to land in between like 2 fence posts at the very bottom of it. So yeah, it was super. That was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And so, but I like it because it's quick. Just with hammers, it's like either you do it or you don't. So.
Yeah, legit.
It's true.
Legit. That adrenaline, you're like a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, like we're a control precise one,
I mean, back in the day, like I felt like hammers were I still do feel this way. Hammers are easy in comparison to like technical skating, like the Kelsos or Eugen stuff. Like there's like, so that's why I almost have like I respect myself more for being able to do things that are so just physically hard to do, even on a play rail, versus like being able to do a topsoul on something that could, harm me, but like it's not that bad. Like we can take 2-story drops, If it gets bigger than that, then it's that.
Yeah.
We gotta start talking about what supplements are best for us when we jump down, like for our joints and so on, for these gaps.
Glucosamine, it's been one, manganese. So yeah.
All right.
I mean,
I need to get me those.
I walk people through this stuff, so like anyone that ever wants to hit me up on my page, it is one of the reasons why it's there. So yeah, I mean, it's always fine. Or people just hit me up with health questions and I give a perspective, and that's all it is, guys. It's just perspective, you know.
And you're
not a
open
doctor,
to
not a
people
health
always hitting you.
So last year, all the time, I've kind of slowed down just because I've been really busy with life and mainly focusing more on just skating on the page. But yeah, so I would say last year, I mean, a lot of it too is like, it's trolling and hate as well, but it's all fun. You know, I mean, it's very rare that I felt like I had to really get snappy, but like, there are times like it's just, you know, people will put you in a box and assume you feel a certain way about certain things just because you think this way about this, but it doesn't mean you know, it's like there are naturopathic doctors that are fully anti-vax. There are naturopathic doctors that are for some vaccines, and there's some naturopathic doctors that want you to have all vaccines. Right. And so it's like, you know, people like hitting me up to be like, did you do this? Did you get it? Did you? That was really rough and silly and just like,
I invite anybody to just question, you know, just question. Yeah. Don't take anything like the way it is. Just question things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like I'm not for or against in these situations. I'm just for what I do for myself. But it's just funny when someone like, you know, or almost groups of players. But yeah, that was a silly thing. So COVID was weird, but other than that, you know, but I mean, I think that was kind of one of the reasons for the page a little bit, just to show different perspectives on health and wellness, you know, and that's what I like. I don't even like to call it health, because health care is sick care, and I'd rather be about wellness care, which is about strength. Right. You know?
Absolutely. And it really is, at the end of the day, we want everybody to take care of themselves. Like, actually look at the way that you're living your life seriously and reflect. You know, it's important to take the time to do that, because sometimes you don't realize what you're missing. And supplements and minerals and the idea of understanding the balance of your body is incredible when you really do it right. And so yeah, man, sure. Yeah, you taught me so much today, so I really do appreciate that. I got a lot to look at.
Like I had to get over my own cognitive dissonance when it came to like the whole supplementation thing, because it just seems like a sales tactic. And especially since like what I do is network marketing, it's even worse, right? But what's really is going on was with me internally was like, I realized that I was bodybuilding and like, so I would get up at that point, I'd run 5 miles. I would then go work out. I'd then go to work with a physical job, and then I'd go skate. And it was just like, holy moly. So that was my routine, you know, from like 20 to 24. And so no kidding, like I sweated myself to death by the time I hit my, you know, hit 30s and had kids and the stress of life. And, you know, and I love my family and so much, but like that is, stress is, at the end of the day, our bodies are underneath it, and even the emotional stress wears you down.
How many kids do you have?
You know? I've got 2. I've got a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old. So Avery and Kylie. And my wife is Karen. I married her at 19, and we've been married for like 22 years almost. Wow. Coming up in just a little bit, like 20th of October.
I don't know many bladers
that.
Congratulations.
I don't know many bladers like that. I don't know many bladers that have no issues with commitments like you. Like, I mean, right? Like, it's like, so, oh, yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. This thing, okay, let's do it. Hurricane, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, and I do think that mindset helped my skating when filming for stunt tricks, because it didn't take me time. Like if I would like if you look at my part in Broke, like I was really already a grown, married, busy man, you know, and I have theocratic things that I take care of. Like, you know, I'm very active in my community and my ministry work and all of that. And so time is very limited. So like if you look at the Broke profile, like it's like I'm wearing the same clothes over and over again, because most of the tricks were filmed in like maybe 10 sessions. And so like, but I was also very organized. I was like, I have this day, we're going to go to this spot, this spot, this spot. And most of it was just me and Morgan, you know, the filmer. Right. And so there were times where others came along, but it was just like, I wanted to handle business, and I wanted to like do things that like I've been wanting to push myself to do, you know? And so and you know, like now it's easier because everyone's got cameras, but back then, like I didn't have a camera. I didn't really understand the internet yet.
Yeah. I respect that so much, because, you know, shout out to Abdiel Kohlberg and rest in peace, Christian Rodriguez, but all these people back in the day, and we're talking 98, 99, they would show up to a spot with a list.
Yeah.
You know,
dude,
this is what we're going to do this day.
anyone staying up deal in his hurricane topsails before making it look easy before anyone's really doing them. Dude, the guy
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
far ahead of his time, man. So far.
100%, dude. 100%. Is there anyone right now that in the blading community you think that people should be maybe paying more attention to?
Well, I would say, I mean, people are paying attention to him a lot, but like, I just Julian Kudo finally getting a pro boot. I feel like something, or getting a boot sponsor. I feel like an injustice in the world has finally been corrected.
That is the perfect way to put that.
Yeah, I mean, and I absolutely love athletic blading. Like, I love cool, tricky stuff as well, and I will do that to some degree. But back in the day, like, we would do fun little things, but we wouldn't film them. Like, we needed to do big things. We need to do hammers. We need to do technicality. So we would do all this fun stuff, and so I like that. Blading now has incorporated so much more of that. But at the end of the day, man, like, I love these like Brazilian kids that are coming out. And they're all padded up. They've all got gear on. They've got helmets on. They've got like everything. Yes. And the reason for that is because what they're doing and the tricks that they're pushing are so hard and so crazy that like the guys that are saying like, oh, well, I don't like this contest because it's a bowl contest. Like they can't relate because of how difficult that is. And the reason I can say that is because that's what I wished I always was, but all I had was access to street skating, and so now that there are parks, maybe I can get a little bit better at transition skating, but I've only skated street, and I think that mentality of like street only, like that really hurt blading. It hurt blading.
I mean, it's still affecting you right now, because when you're like talking right now about the bull and not really getting there, like okay, you can still ride transition without having to go that way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can still smooth it out. You can Stockwell it out, right?
or like sometimes I see Joe. Like I've hung out with Joe, like during
Joe Atkinson.
Or during Joe Atkinson.
Yeah,
like during the what was it that you were with Ben in Detroit? No, not in Detroit. Oh my God, the Bitter Cold. Yeah, in modern, like everybody was in a different section, and he was by himself, just skating the smallest portion of the ball, faking.
Right.
And all he wanted to do was being able to go from the bottom without paddling, without strides, all the way to get onto the big. And he did it like little by little, so but he wanted it to look a certain way. It's like crazy.
Like if you want to be humbled, just try rolling switch fakie. A good buddy of mine named Dustin Thompson told me this a long time ago.
I don't believe in switch.
Yeah, well, switch fakie means like looking over the other shoulder with your foot. You go this way, right? I can't do it on camera. Like this might be your stance, but it's doing it the other way, and it's that's hard. That's humbling. Yes. Humbling, like crazy.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm also trying to learn to, after 30 years, I'm still trying to learn to spin switch. So like the goal here for me is like I want to, by the end of the year, to be able to do switch hurricane topsail on my lowest tread rail. So
I'm gonna do this live. I'm gonna do this live.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do. I apologize for this ahead of time, but I invite you to think that it's not switch, but that you just haven't worked on that side the same way that you have been working.
They mean the same thing.
One way will always clearly be dominant, and the other way is going to be the way. Not if
you work them. So, not if you work them.
When you get to a certain level, you can say left foot, right foot. I don't believe I've earned that. For me, I'm gonna wave my finger like they did in the ASA when something wasn't the way you normally do it, and you land, you're landing fakie, and you're like, that was switch, bro. So
but that to me is an excuse to not work well on both sides.
Well, that's like if you look at
and you're a disciplined, committed person, so I hope that you can get committed to both parts of your body the same way.
I'll put it to you this way. So after 2 years of doing torque switch, because I was inspired by a couple of leaders.
I hate you.
What is it? Cody Red Cardinal, and then another, that USD Australian guy. I can't remember his name, but I saw them doing torques either direction, and so I was like, I'm gonna learn torques either direction. And so now I will say that depending on the switch up I want to do afterwards, I've got some left foot torques that I'm happy to do this way, or some right foot torques, but I don't have to think about it now. And so and then this year the other major goal was doing backslides both ways, and so right foot backslides are they're almost to a point to where like I'll slip out, but I may not die, right? So I can catch myself just good enough, right?
That's
So, but
crazy, bro.
it still feels very, very Switch.
I hear you.
I guess what you're saying is, and I kind of like this, is that once I get to a point, it won't be Switch. It'll just be what it is.
Left foot,
you know.
right
And
If
foot.
you
I think
actually put time and work to it, no, it won't. Like
yeah.
you know, like I don't know if you've been through this, but I've been through this, and I've heard other people going through this. Like, oh, now my true top sole is the other way, or my true top acid, I only mostly do it with the left foot now. It's like
China Wire
Yeah.
Stalls had to go through that, right? She's
because
switched
your
her
natural
repertoire.
becomes.
I mean, I know, like, I've been like a left skater, so like spinning to my left, because like, but dude, back in the like the '90s, it was like, which way do you spin? Oh, I spin to my left, or like, oh, I spin to my right, and like that's what it was. and then like Aragon comes out and he's like hurricaning both ways, and then nobody respected Matt Salerno for like doing like 900s both way on vert, because we just didn't understand how amazing and impressive that is, you know. So like Chris Edwards said it best once. I heard him say like, you don't like vert because you don't even understand it, you know.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, so that's why I love all these other types as well, you know. And so I just wish I could do that. And like now there's appreciation for it. Back when I was like a stuck up, I'm a street skater, bro. Like that that mindset has held us all back.
Yeah, just like the Switch mindset.
Oh man, all right.
I'm sorry. I'm just being poisonous. I'm just messing with you.
I'm sure at least we're probably at least in line with the Savannah debate, right?
Oh man.
Oh, let's start that. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Then I will never go to work.
Yeah, well, I'll never make it to
It's
work.
got to go at 1:30, but I'm pretty sure that we're on the same page, you and I. You know, on that
We're
one.
on the
No, yeah,
Savannah
yeah, we
page,
are.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, how
Yeah.
can the people support you, my man, as we close out here?
I mean, I would say the most things, like if anything, I do always appreciate like a repost, like I'm at a place in my life where I'm not remotely interested in like a sponsor, especially like a boot sponsor. Like I want to pay and support what I like. So like I love Rollerblade, you know, their boots. I'm definitely going to try other boots as well as they come out. You know, we've had so many interesting ones. I'm looking forward to when Faction's hard boot comes out. I really want to give that a try as well.
Oh, it's so good.
But yeah, and so it's like I like to just support blading in that way. But I would say to support me, I would love it if Blank would repost or at least share sometimes, like, because they share all their pros and sponsored bladers, like share everybody, and so that's what I like about Faction and a lot of these other bladers. They repost a lot of people's stuff, so that's fun. I do like when people post my blading, but when someone like reposts or reshares like a wellness tip, oh man, my heart like I mean, because blading will always be cool to me, but like if someone reposts one of the wellness tips, that's it. And then if people are interested at all in learning more about supplementation, learning about what I'm talking about here, I do, of course, yes, I do sell, and I'm a distributor for a company called Longevity, and can definitely show you the ropes there. So there's that, but like that's really more of a hobby for me. You know, my main business is, I mean, it's a secondary business, I guess, but realistically, like I just do that because I love it. It's what I do. It's what I'm going to keep doing every day, and it's mainly because of the benefit. So whether someone buys products that are my products or they get into something that benefits them, like I'm down for that too. Because I mean, my supplements are great. They're not the only ones in the world, but I do think like I roll here because of results, and results at the end of the day are what it's all about, man.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for all you shared today. You're like a freaking dictionary for this stuff, man. I love it. I heard a lot of words that I ended up Googling, so I got a lot to learn. So.
I love it.
And so at the end of the day, anyone, I feel free, like, correct me where I'm wrong. It only helps me out. It only makes me better, right? Disagree, it's great. You know, I like, and that's why, like, I've never would block someone no matter how annoying they would get. You know, on a page, right? It doesn't even matter, right? So like
Discussion
I like the
important.
ability to like, especially like debate's important to that, you know. And so like I don't agree with everything that these doctors that I really like say, but a lot of their stuff has been really beneficial to me. And so at the end of the day, it's like people just experiment with yourself, try something different, be open-minded, and like that's where it is. It's like, you know, if it works for you, keep at it. You know, if you find a benefit, keep at it. And so that's just kind of how I am at the end of the day when it comes to the whole supplementation idea.
Awesome,
Yes, I will say you are not your ideas. Ideas are your ideas, just ideas.
That's it,
Just
man.
don't be married to them. Be open, you know.
Yeah.
Keep trying to find out. Like you said, maybe it's one side, maybe it's the other one. We change all the time. We're always changing. Just be open, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll definitely thank you, Stu, for doing this. I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, and you know, thank you for doing this, man.
All right, I enjoyed it, guys. Good times.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, dude. Thank you for being here, man. I think we're ready to sign off. I got to get to work. So thank you for being here,
All right,
everybody.
Playing, guys. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Take care.
Yeah, you too, brother.